here's the big question. How is it that most entrepreneurs hustle and are always busy and struggle to take just one step forward only to fall 2 steps back? They're dedicated, determined, and driven, but only a few finally break through and win. This show uncovers those quantum leap patterns of highly successful people so you can simply model what they do and apply to your future success. That's the question, and the answers are right here. My name is Brigitte Höfele, and this is the Success Patterns Show. That is right. Welcome everyone to the Success Pattern Show, where we put the do in learn, do, teach, because most of the time people just learn and then they teach it somewhere else, but they don't actually go out and do it. My name is Brigitte Höfele. I'm the founder of the Success Patterns Movement and the CEO of the Center of NLP. And it is my distinct pleasure to be here with you on this rainy, what is today, Tuesday afternoon. And we have a special guest, as we always do. And before I bring up the special guest, that I sure hope that you have something to write with and something to write on, because he's going to drop nugget after nugget after nugget. Can we agree that success is an interesting thing? It shapes its meaning within each individual person or success seeker, and it's not limited to either personal or business life. It actually bleeds over from one to the other when you know the actual pattern of it. Because success is a very unique concept, and we give here in the Success Pattern Show, give you that scaffolding of that success building, if you will, to build your own empire. With this show, we are decoding the patterns that led to the success of our guest experts, so you, the watcher, the follower, the listener, can encode your own success today, just right after we end here, as you make notes. We as humans are hardwired for hands-on applications by living teachers, and we're not theoreticians, as they talk a good game, theoreticians do. Here are grandmasters at work, which means you are at the right place at the right time. And as one of our laws of success, and there are many of them that I teach, that we teach within the Center of NLP, states that success is modeled. And that's exactly what we're about. We're about modeling success patterns. And with these valuable success patterns, we're giving you the rich insights of how highly successful people are ritualizing their steps to success, so success is yours. So stay tuned. At the very end of this show today, we have a very special gift that you want to get. So you got to stay on and stay tuned in, because today's going to be a great show. I have the distinct pleasure, and before I say great show, I actually want to reframe it. It is a magnificent show. We have Lee Williams with us today. He is all about serving and bringing value by sharing his 8 M's methodology and how it has allowed him to achieve magnificence in his life. He's a speaker, he's a coach, he's a podcast host, and soon to be author. He has built several lucrative direct selling businesses while transitioning out of the law enforcement that he built himself with personal and professional development training that gave him the tools to create these successful businesses and have success in life. This allowed him, as I said, to leave law enforcement and pursue his passions. He realized that he could start his own personal and professional development. And that's when he founded Mediocre. That's when Lee founded Mediocre to Magnificent, Inc. He began to teach and share his 8 M's methodology to help others achieve their magnificence. So, ladies and gentlemen, I'm so excited to introduce to you my friend and my mentor and mentee all at the same time, Lee A. Williams. Thank you for being here today, Lee.
Thank you for having me. I love your energy. Yes. Definitely
It's all
mentor
about the
and
energy, my friend.
mentee at all the same time. I love how you said that. Because if we're not wearing those different hats and being willing to be able to learn from everyone, we're just missing the mark. And that's that's just an extra. I just had to say that because this is the success pattern show. You learn from what people do and don't do.
Ooh, say that again for the people in the back. Say that
Yeah,
again.
you definitely learn from what people do and what they don't do is what we want to take because there's some things that people, when they've done something is like, yeah, I don't want to do that. I mean, we've just had a recent example, and I won't say the specific example, but in the media, it's everywhere. There's some things you just don't do. I mean, but hey, we're here. Success pattern show.
Success pattern show. And you're right. You want to be mindful of who you model and what you model and be very picky about it
Yeah,
and very clear on what you want to create. So
that's right.
Lee, you and I go way back. How long have we known
Yes.
each other?
I mean, it's almost 10 years, I believe.
Almost 10 years.
Maybe we've already reached 10, but it's definitely 10.
Yeah,
And
for
when I looked back, I was like, man, it's already been 10 years. And it's yeah.
well, you and I haven't aged a bit, so there you go.
That's
And
right.
was do I recall correctly, you were still in the law enforcement when we met?
Yeah, I actually was still in law enforcement, and the wonderful intro you gave about me building successful direct selling businesses. And if anybody's been involved in any of those type businesses, personal development is very huge, and they're really focused on that whole aspect and thought process and achieving that mindset. So that's when I got in the personal development level took it to the next phase, and that's when we met. Yes. Mhm.
I work a lot with corporations, and when I meet with C-level executives, they ask me, what's the number one thing that people that you see working with people that they don't have? And I say a winning mindset, especially working
Right.
in corporations where you work with employees that are not necessarily naturally, as an entrepreneur, I would say they're more, naturally equipped to have a winning mindset. An employee, not always, but that doesn't mean that they can't have it. We just got to work
Right.
on it. And
Yeah,
but
we
in
do.
order to work on that, one must be open and have an open mindset to actually accepting that there are other ways to think about certain things. So you said it so beautifully earlier, and I want to go into that. It's the things that we do, but it's really the things that we don't do as well. So what do you avoid at all cost?
So what I avoid at all costs is mediocrity. And where you get that from, that's where the whole my company comes from, mediocre to magnificent. Years ago, people used to always ask me, Lee, how are you doing? And honestly, this was when I was in my law enforcement days, and I would respond and say, trying to make it. You say, Lee, trying to make what? You trying to make a cake? What? You trying to make something to eat later? Like, and that just came from such an energy of you just wanting to survive. You just wanting to get through the day and not necessarily get from the day, or not necessarily strive or thrive in the day. So I made a choice to start saying that I was magnificent. And that was just anchoring and solidifying that I wanted to have a different mindset, and I wanted to have a different energy in which how I showed up. Now, in that thought process of showing up differently, we know life and death in the power of the tongue. So why was I going to continue to speak death or chaos or something negativity instead of choosing life in the form of saying I am magnificent? And that's, I know a lot of people think sometimes you have to go real deep with this success thing. And I'm not recreating the wheel. I'm just putting my authentic stamp on it for who I am and how I show up in the world. And it literally starts with your mindset. And we have a choice to choose. Like you said, it's raining outside, but that doesn't stop us from getting on here today and doing our thing and bringing value and being magnificent.
That's right. That's right.
That's a
Actually,
choice.
it is a choice, and I love that you brought that word up several times, that we have a choice. And when we are um, able to accept that, oh, it's not a dead end, I can either go this way or that way. I can be on the success pattern show or not be on the success pattern
Right.
show. I can go to the gym or not go to the gym. I can do, I can eat healthy or not eat healthy. I can feed my brain the great stuff or the nasty stuff. it's all, we always have a choice.
That we
Most of
do.
the time, we are not conditioned or have not conditioned ourselves to see that we actually have a choice.
That's right. Like, so one of my mentors says, every garden will be attacked. Not to think so is naive. And the garden is your mind. So, what are you doing to cultivate your mind? Are you allowing things that, quite frankly, are weeds to take root or take hold in your mind? Or are you gardening your mind? Are you tending to your mind to have fruit be produced?
That's
So
a
it's
that's a
this
good question.
mindset thing is very, very important. And you know, we've heard it, and some of the places I've been is you hang for around four broke people, you're the fifth. So another way to say it is the sum total of the people you hang around the most. And the reason why I'm bringing that up is because if you are hanging around people that are putting out your fire,
Mm,
they're throwing water on your fire, and your fire is your passion. Your fire is your success. Your fire is your success patterns. Your fire is your magnificence. And you're getting around these people that have poor mindset, and you know them. Everybody knows them. You want to take an idea or something, you want to share an opportunity with them. They're like, "Oh, you can't do that, or you're too old, or you don't have money for that. We can't afford." Instead of saying, "Okay, how do we afford?" or "What do I need to do? Who do I need to seek out mentorship from? How do I gain clarity?" And some of those examples, I know I've said a lot fast, is just having a different mindset and not
yeah,
accepting mediocrity.
yeah. There are many great M words in your vocabulary. Clearly,
Yes, they are. Clearly.
yes.
Yeah.
And
Clearly.
mindset is one of them. And as I shared at the very beginning of the show, you came bearing gifts. So we're not going to
Right,
share
right,
right now what you came with, what people walk
right.
away with after this show. But I do want you, since it's um the 8 M's that you
Of
teach.
magnificent living. Yes.
Yeah, from mediocre to magnificent. And mindset is clearly one of the 8.
It's
But
clearly one of the eight. Yeah, it's not. So if you want to say another one that, so I don't tell all the eight M's, don't reveal them all. People got to stay to the end. I totally understand that. The one that I would share now would be meditation. And to think about the meditation, sometimes people think and they're like, okay, well, this man's wanting me to be some, and if that's your thing, no disrespect, you do your thing, that's fine. But I'm just saying to take some time to get present with yourself. The way I've like to anchor it for myself is praying is talking to God, meditating is listening. So at what point are we gonna, in our
Mm,
busy days in our life and all that we've got going on, family, children, commutes, whatever your thing is, taking children to ball practice, picking them up from school, whatever, is to say, I'm going to take some time for myself. There's apps that can say, and alerts and reminders to say, you know what, I'm going to meditate and get present. And I just paused purposely there to just say, let me just get present. Let me check in with myself and see where I'm at and see what I'm feeling, see the thoughts that's coming up for me, and to connect with the divine, to connect to God, and just what do you have in store for me? And another way to say it is to be still.
mm,
So that's why meditation makes the list. Like in the hustle and bustle of life of what we all have going on, like you mentioned earlier, like eating healthy is hard to do, going to the gym's hard to do, but also eating crap's hard to do. Missing the gym is hard to do. So it's literally solidifying that and saying, hey, yeah, meditation's easy not to do, but it's also very easy to do. And if you were to start and say, hey, you know what, Lee, I feel empowered. I feel like you've challenged me to start meditation because I've never really done that before. Just give me 2 minutes and track it for the next week or two, and then tell me how you feel Has your stress levels went down, anxiety, the overwhelm, whatever it is, and say, hey, yeah, I can see that me meditating daily, getting present with myself, allowing myself, because some people say, oh, well, my mind wanders. That's the whole point. It's a practice. Bring your mind back, focus
It,
on your breath.
I I so appreciate that you bring in the word practice, because I said it earlier,
Right.
we're not theoreticians here.
We're
It
not.
is all about the practice and the consistency of it
It is. It
in
is. It
meditation.
much so is. Yeah, it really should. And it's, I mean, I know the benefits that's it's given me, and really just this whole movement, this whole brand that I've been able to create it is because I've got into a meditative state to think and say, okay, not recreate the authentic stamp on it, saying that again, and just bring it to the marketplace and say, hey, it's helped me. If I'm able to transition from law enforcement, build businesses, and show up and honor my message the way I'm honoring my message in the world, you can too. And that's why meditation makes the list.
So we have,
And now, even if you would have rewind maybe 5, 10 years ago, you might have been like, oh, they're talking about meditation is some woo woo thing. But it's almost like if you're not talking about meditation in today's time, in today's society, you're not in the in crowd. Like it's a thing and people are doing it. And if you're not, well, it's time to step your game up. It's a success pattern.
it is. It really is. And meditation can have, just like success, many different meanings for whoever's meditating. I love the definition that you brought. Praying is talking to God, and meditating is listening. That
Mhm.
really, really resonated with me.
Yeah, it's
That's
real.
that's powerful. That is very powerful. If you guys, if you don't
Yeah,
walk away with anything, walk away with that, because that's rich. Um,
rich.
you,
And
you.
it's rich, and rich is a state of mind. It's a mindset.
There we go with the M again. There's a mindset. So coming from law enforcement, and you are clearly, I mean, the calmness just exudes out of you and through you. Have you ever been not calm? And what have you, over the course of your life, and becoming an officer of law enforcement, it takes time, it takes years to
Yeah.
actually go through the training. Have you ever been that calm? Have you ever had, what was the turning point of you going, okay, as you shared with us earlier, you told your mind said one thing, but then you caught yourself and you're like, wait a minute, I don't want to tell myself that anymore. Was that gradually happening, or was there a very specific turning point where you said, okay, I'm severing the past so it's not dragging into the future? Share
Yes,
with
yes.
me a little bit more about that.
Yeah. So, and I'm willing to go deep as we're capable of going. So the thought process that comes up, and we all know vulnerability is strength. That came up on one of my podcasts recently, Communicate to Win, but that's a whole nother thing. Vulnerability is strength. So what I'm referring to now is the whole reason why I was in law enforcement is because I wanted to help someone. More
Mm,
importantly, I wanted to help my mother and my family because we were involved in an abusive relationship.
mm,
So that was a file coming from childhood when I was 3 years old that perpetuated into me being an adult. So not to disrespect law enforcement, we need law enforcement. I was law enforcement. The way they say once law enforcement, always law enforcement. So I get it. I have the I have the creed. I have the patch. I'm in the brotherhood. But I would be naive to sit here and say that me being in law enforcement, locking people up in this instance, I wasn't helping people to the full capacity that I was able to. And I was just operating and working from files from my childhood that didn't serve me because I wanted to protect my mother. So, how do you better protect somebody in this day and age, this society, to say, hey, serve and protect, you be in law enforcement? So then once going back to when I answered the question about what do I want to avoid at all costs, the mediocrity, and me saying trying to make it, me doing the personal development, reading, going to certain programs, exposing myself to different mentors, seeing, working through my files, is saying, hey, I have more to offer the world. And it just how happens my thing in the form of Magnificent, the law enforcement thing was just a file playing itself out. So it was gradual, but it also was very definite. Like, hey, there's more for you to do out here, Lee.
There was
If
not
that
a
answers.
question
It
at some
wasn't a
point.
question. Yeah, it was not a question. Like, there's more to offer. You're capable of offering it. Go do it. And I got a lot of flack. I mean, because there are people for the rank that I attained and I achieved at the age that I achieved. It was like, man, but you're going to be the next. So some of the guys, they just didn't understand. Like, you're leaving, you're not doing, you're pursuing other things. What you're not, and there's no love lost to any of those guys. They know that. But it's something within me. He gave me certain talents, gifts. That's another success pattern. You have to tap in to what you're created to do and go do that. And if it just so happens to be in the form of law enforcement, fine, so be it. But if it's not, that's what you said, Lee. What do you want to avoid at all costs? And I said mediocrity. To define it to the next level is me accepting mediocrity, knowing that I can serve a greater purpose and be magnificent and empower people to achieve their magnificence. I didn't have the reach that I needed in law enforcement. So that ties it in, hopefully, for everyone listening. You got to go after what you're created to do. Some people
What?
might not understand. Some people close to you might have to say, hey, you have to be consistent over a long period of time, showing them that you're going to be committed to this and diligent and disciplined and gaining clarity on what it takes to succeed in this whole new, in this idea, entrepreneurship lane. But don't question for 1 minute that if it's for you, then it's for you.
It's the purpose that you spoke about earlier.
Right.
So, through that purpose, everyone has a message. Everyone has a purpose. Even
Everyone
if
does.
they don't, because I have this conversation sometimes with my kids, and they're
Mhm.
young, 16 and 19, and they're like,
Right.
I'm still searching for my purpose. Great.
Mm.
At least you're searching,
At least you're searching.
At
Right,
least you're
right.
not following all of the other, it feels like herds. They're all going in the same direction, wearing the same stuff, and doing the
Hmm.
same obnoxious things.
Right.
Find your purpose. It's never too late to find your purpose. But what is the message? And I know message is another great M word, is part of your teaching as well.
It's
So
part of my teaching.
tell me more about
And
message.
so I definitely like said it, saying honor your message. And what I like to tie that to is just literally being authentic, unashamedly being who you are and showing up in the world the way you're capable of showing up. And relating it back to what you're capable of doing. Now, I know because I don't want to get it misconstrued thinking like, okay, well, working a job and, oh, he's only pro entrepreneur or business, or I'm not saying that. What I'm literally saying is if there's something that you want to be able to pursue and do, and that's where the meditation piece comes from, like really getting present and listening. But then you say, okay, the mindset. You can't go into showing up authentically and putting your message out there if you haven't dealt with your mindset. And now you're showing up positive. Now you're speaking live. Now when people ask you how you're doing, you're saying you're magnificent. And over time, just the way you show up, people will be intrigued and say, "Oh man, there's something different about that person. There's something different about the way Lee shows up. There's something different about the way Brigida shows up." And I want to find out what that is. And then that ends up being your message. So another way to say this, here we are on this live. And I had a dress shirt that I thought about wearing. I had one. Very nice. One of my favorite shirts. And I said to myself, well, I'm putting on my t-shirt that says honor your message. Because in this setting, in this environment, I wanted to be true to myself and honor my message. And this is how I was comfortable. This is how I wanted to show up. I could have put on the dress shirt. I could have did it.
And
But
you know what?
that,
It would have not spoken any other words than you're speaking and the truth you're speaking right now and the wisdom that you're exuding.
yeah. So if that portrays the message M, that's what I want portrayed. But then to go even a step further is once you're starting to tap into these eights, and you got to find out what the other ones are. I mean, if you're not interested in finding out what the other ones are, like, what are we talking about here? This is the Success Patterns show. But anyway, message is, okay, what do we truly put out to the world? I want what I'm putting out to be magnificence. That's what I want. That's what my message want. I want. Doesn't matter. Like when she said, "Hey," Brigida said, "Hey, this live starts at 4:30. If you know what time I had my stuff set up and check my lighting, check my camera, all that, because I wanted to be magnificent. I was ready to go." Some people might, okay, well, oh man, they're not here. They're running late. How are we going to do that? I won't never forget when I was working in, well, I'll even go back to a better. I just went recently, spoke to a local high school here, and they were having career day, job fair, that whole deal. And the students knew that it was career day, job fair, and they had several local businesses, different people there to in the community like we can take you back and interview you, give you a job, that whole deal. The youth were showing up in sweats, holy jeans, slides, that's sandals. And I'm like, what? Like, I'm pulling them over to my table because I'm there to empower them to say, hey, when you graduate school, life's going to punch you in the face and you're not prepared. The sole purpose of me being here, I'm not hiring. That's not why I'm here. I'm here to empower you so you can define your magnificence. You knew it was career day and you have holy jeans, slides, and your shirt's untucked looking crazy. And this is career day. Like I might literally be here as a college recruiter. You say you want to go to college. I'm here from the college saying, okay, let me get you in to college. And you're not prepared. That's not honoring your message. That's not being magnificent. That's mediocre. So that's the other side of the message piece. How are we presenting ourselves? How are we showing up? And is it congruency with who we are? And people will try in today's society, they really will try to tell you, oh, well, that's just who I am. No. That's who you've allowed yourself to be, or that's who you've accepted yourself to be. But let's not play that's who you are, because I can see through that. So that's the message piece. That's the message piece. Yeah. That's why it's important to me. That's why I made the list.
Yeah. And so I want to get to that list in a second. And 100% True asks, what inspired the bold haircut? I don't know which one he means, or she. And I'll let you talk.
Yeah. So when you say what inspired the bald haircut, well, you might literally say, if you know me, well, then you might be asking questions. But if you don't know me, then I get it. Time inspires the bald haircut. When you start having some hair missing, well, you just got to go with it. You know, vulnerability is strength. I won't never forget. They said, yeah,
strength.
Bald men are sexy too. My wife thinks so.
Very much so. Very much so. And I don't know you any different.
Yeah. I've been doing this style for a while. Yeah, I have. And I've probably been doing it even before some hair started missing. But hey,
Well, you and Robert Riopel and a few other
yeah,
great leaders in our field and in our world rock the bold haircut.
that's right. That's right.
Absolutely rock it. So, man, there was so much more that we can talk about, and I want to have
Oh
you
yeah.
back, Lee, and with
Of
your
course.
permission, I would love for you to come back. But for everyone that is watching and that is just sitting on their edge of the seat to learn how they can get their hands on all 8 steps from mediocre to magnificent, how do they get their hands on this absolutely valuable checklist?
Yeah. So you just go to leawilliams.com and you can download the free ADMs checklist. And yeah, it's all there. And you can take a look and see what's going on, see what I'm doing. And I'd love to connect with you.
So go to www.leawilliams, that's with 2 L's.com.
Mhm.
And
Yes.
from there, download your free 8 M's checklist. By golly, do it. You will be glad that you did. You can
That's
thank
right.
us. You can thank us when we have Lee back on our next success pattern show, which I know will be very soon because we have so much more to talk about. And you
Yes,
have
we do.
such a big heart for your clients, for the people in our world, for our students. And, before we started our show today, Lee and I talked a little bit about some kids being entitled and not prepared going to a job fair and things of that sorts. And we got work to do
We
because
do. We do.
if success is modeled, and it is success is modeled, and we're all about success modeling, that's what the Success Patterns show is about, then there's got to be more of us. Because if there's more of us, and I'm speaking of the ones with the growth mindset and empowerment statements and lack of entitlement, then we can truly have a bigger impact. So
Right.
let's lock arms. Let's
That's
go
right.
do some good in the world. So one last question to you, Lee. I want
Okay.
to hear from you, and I don't want you to go into your logic mind, but what is one of the success patterns that drives you every day?
The one success pattern that drives me every day, point blank, is my self-discipline. So once I acknowledge and I anchored and I solidified the 8M methodologies that we're talking about, and they can go get it. It's imperative for me to go down my own checklist and be disciplined in making that a reality for myself. It's to not show up like a hypocrite. I say this is what works. I say this is what changed my life. This is what helps me. This is what the success pattern looks like for me. Well, be self-disciplined in that. And over a consistent period of time, this is what you get. This is the message that you see. So that's how I would say that.
That's
Because
beautiful.
it's easy to not do, but it's easier to do. And you feel better doing it. I mean,
That's why we're going to come to an end, because I'm going to go to the gym.
that's right. Gotta get to the gym. Yeah.
I loved having you on. I love continuously how you show up in the world with a big heart. I cannot wait to see you, because you and I haven't seen each other in person in quite some time.
Yeah.
So I'm really excited to see you again. And until next time, guys, stay tuned for our next Success Pattern show next Tuesday, same time, same place. Go and follow Lee Williams, leawilliams.com, and get your 8M methodology checklist. Please do yourself a favor. Thank you, Lee, for being on. Thanks, guys, for watching. This was the Success Pattern Show.
Thank you for tuning in to the Success Pattern Show at www.thesuccesspatternshow.com. My name is Brigitte Höfele.